The autumn sun was bleeding into the New Mexico horizon when Tom Brennan heard the sound, a soft, deliberate knocking that seemed to carry the weight of something ancient and urgent. He set down his coffee cup, the ceramic scraping against the wooden porch rail, and squinted toward the ranch gate where a solitary figure stood silhouetted against the dying light. Tom had lived alone on the Doubleby Ranch for 3 years, ever since Sarah passed. The land stretched for acres in every direction, empty save for cattle and memories. He wasn't expecting visitors. Nobody came out this far unless they were lost or desperate. As he approached, he saw her clearly, an Apache woman, perhaps in her late 20s, wearing traditional dress with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. But it was what she carried that stopped him cold, a bundle in her arms, wrapped carefully in worn cotton, and the unmistakable sounds of an infant's whimper breaking the desert silence. "Please," she said, her voice steady despite the exhaustion etched in every line of her face. "I need to speak with you, Mr. Brennan. It's about my daughter." Tom's hand froze on the gate latch. How did she know his name? And what could she possibly want from a washed-up rancher who could barely manage to feed himself most days? "I'm listening," he said carefully, opening the gate but maintaining his distance. The woman's dark eyes met his with an intensity that made him feel seen in a way he hadn't experienced in years. "My name is Ayanna. I have been watching you for 3 months now. Every Tuesday, you drive into town and buy groceries. But you always stop at the church food bank and leave half of what you bought. Every Sunday, you visit the cemetery, and you don't just tend your wife's grave, you clean the abandoned ones too, the ones nobody remembers. Last month, when the Hernandez family lost everything in that fire, you were the first one there with supplies, and you never told anyone." Tom felt his face flush. "How do you?" "I notice things," Ayanna interrupted gently. "I had to. I've been looking for someone, Mr. Brennan. Not just anyone. The right person. And I choose you to be the father." Section 2, The Impossible Request. Tom stumbled backward, his mind reeling. "Now wait just a minute. Please, let me explain," Ayanna said, stepping forward. The baby in her arms stirred, and she instinctively adjusted the blanket with the practiced tenderness of a devoted mother. "I'm dying, Mr. Brennan. Stage 4 cancer. The doctors give me maybe 2 months, probably less. This is my daughter, little Star. She's 4 months old. Her father died in a construction accident before she was born. I have no family left, my parents passed years ago, and I was an only child. The reservation foster system is overwhelmed, underfunded. The state system." She trailed off, her voice breaking for the first time. "I've seen what happens to Apache children in the state system. I won't let that happen to her." Tom felt his chest tighten. The setting sun cast long shadows across Ayanna's face, and he could see now what he'd missed before, the hollow cheeks, the slight tremor in her hands, the way she held her daughter as if every moment might be their last. "There must be someone else," he said, but even as the words left his mouth, they felt hollow. "I'm just an old rancher. I'm 62 years old. I don't know the first thing about raising a baby, especially not an Apache baby." Ayanna finished for him. "You're right. You don't. But that's not what matters most. What matters is the size of your heart, Mr. Brennan. I've been searching for months, watching people, trying to find someone with the character, the kindness, the strength to raise my daughter to be good. Not perfect, just good. Someone who will teach her that compassion matters more than comfort, that integrity isn't negotiable, that every person deserves dignity." She took another step closer, and Tom could see tears beginning to form in her eyes, though she held them back with visible effort. "I know about your wife," she continued softly. "I know you wanted children. I know that dream died with her. I know you've spent the last 3 years wondering what the point of anything is anymore. I'm not asking you to replace what you lost, Mr. Brennan. I'm asking you to choose what you'll do with what you have left, a heart that still knows how to love, even when it hurts." Tom invited Ayanna inside, his hands shaking as he prepared tea neither of them would drink. Little Star had fallen asleep, and Ayanna laid her gently on the couch, surrounding her with cushions. In the lamplight, Tom could see the baby's perfect features, her tiny fists curled against her chest rising and falling with the peaceful rhythm of innocent dreams. "Tell me about her," Tom heard himself say. Ayanna's face transformed, pain giving way to pure love. She laughs in her sleep. She loves being outside. The moment she feels the sun on her face, she goes completely quiet, just taking it all in. She's curious about everything. Strong too. The nurse said she's never seen a baby fight so hard to lift her own head. Ayanna paused, touching her daughter's soft black hair. "I've been teaching her Apache lullabies. I want her to know her heritage, to understand where she comes from. But I also want her to know the whole world is hers to explore. I don't want her limited by anyone's narrow vision of who she should be." Tom sat down heavily in his chair, the same chair where he'd spent countless nights staring at nothing, waiting for a purpose that never came. "I'm not who you think I am," he said quietly. "I help people because I don't know what else to do with myself. It's not nobility. It's just filling time." "You're wrong," Ayanna said firmly. "You think grief makes your kindness less valuable. You think pain makes your generosity less real. Mr. Brennan, you've been kind when you had every reason to be bitter. You've been generous when you had every excuse to be self-absorbed. That's not just filling time. That's character. That's exactly what my daughter needs." She reached into her bag and pulled out a thick folder. "I've prepared everything. Legal documents, medical records, cultural information, letters for her when she's older. I've set up a small trust fund from my savings, not much, but enough to help with education someday. I've written down every story I can think of about her father, my parents, our traditions. I've made videos of me singing to her, reading to her, just talking to her so she can see my face and hear my voice when she's older." Tom felt something crack inside his chest. This woman, facing death with unfathomable courage, had thought of everything except herself. "Why me?" he whispered. "Really? Why me?" Ayanna met his gaze. "Because when I watched you at that cemetery, cleaning graves nobody visits anymore, I saw someone who understands that love doesn't end just because life does. I need someone who will keep me alive for her, Mr. Brennan. Not by dwelling on sadness, but by honoring memory. Someone who will tell her about her mother, about her Apache heritage, about where she comes from. Someone who won't try to erase who she is, but will help her become who she's meant to be." Tom didn't sleep that night. He walked his property under the stars, the same stars that had witnessed Sarah's laughter, her final breath, and every empty day since. He thought about the life he'd planned and the life he'd been given. He thought about the easy answer, "No, I can't," and why it felt so much like the wrong one. Just before dawn, he returned to the house. Ayanna was awake, holding Little Star, singing softly in Apache. She looked up when he entered, and he saw hope and fear warring in her expression. "I'm scared," Tom said. "I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to get things wrong." "I know," Ayanna replied. "I don't know how to be a father. I don't know enough about Apache culture. I'm probably too old for this. I know. But I'll try," Tom said, his voice breaking. "God help me, I'll try. I'll love her. I'll protect her. I'll make sure she knows who you are and who her father was. I'll make sure she's proud of her heritage. I'll do my best to give her a good life." Ayanna closed her eyes, and tears finally spilled down her cheeks. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for choosing life. For choosing love. For choosing her." Section 5, The Gift of Tomorrow. The next 8 weeks were the fullest Tom's life had been in years. Ayanna moved into the guest room, and together they transformed the ranch. Tom learned to change diapers, mix formula, and interpret different types of cries. Ayana taught him Apache songs, showed him how to wear Little Star in a traditional cradleboard, and filled his ears with stories that would become his daughter's inheritance. More importantly, they built something neither expected: friendship. Ayana's courage in facing death taught Tom how to face life again. His willingness to step into the unknown gave Ayana the peace she desperately needed. They laughed together, cried together, and slowly became a family, however unconventional and temporary. "She'll have questions," Ayana said one evening as they watched Little Star play with her toes. "About why her mother left her. About whether she was wanted. You tell her this: I didn't leave because I didn't love her. I left because I loved her more than I loved my own heartbeat. Every parent wants to protect their child from pain. I couldn't protect her from losing me. But I could protect her from growing up without love. That's why I chose you." Ayana passed peacefully in her sleep on a Tuesday morning, the same day Tom used to go to town and practice small acts of kindness. The irony wasn't lost on him. At her funeral, members of the Apache community came to pay respects, and many stayed to meet Tom and Little Star. They offered support, cultural guidance, and acceptance. Tom realized that Ayana hadn't just chosen him to be a father, she'd built a bridge between worlds for her daughter to walk across freely. Epilogue: The life she gave. 5 years later, Tom stood on his porch watching Little Star chase butterflies across the property. She wore her hair in 2 braids, learned both in English and Apache, and had a laugh that could melt the hardest heart. She knew her mother's songs. She knew her father's story. She knew who she was and where she came from. She also knew that the white-haired rancher who tucked her in every night, who read her stories, who taught her to be kind and brave and curious, was her father in every way that mattered. Tom had learned that love isn't about biology or timing or even capability. It's about choice. Every day, he chose to be present. Every day, he chose to love. Every day, he chose her. And every day, he thanked the brave Apache woman who had chosen him when he'd forgotten how to choose himself. Kindness, he now understood, wasn't just something you practiced. It was something that saved you. It was the bridge between despair and purpose, between existing and living. Ayana had known that. She'd seen it in him before he'd seen it in himself. Some people search their whole lives for meaning. Tom had found his standing at a gate at sunset, in the form of a dying woman with impossible courage and a baby girl who needed love more than anything else in the world. He chose them both. And in doing so, he chose life itself.